I tell stories and I help other people tell their stories. In 2005, I founded a company called CuriousWorks, and I'm the director of that company now. So I guess I see my job as working with my staff to develop the best system possible for people to tell their stories. I do find contemporary art inspiring as well, particularly in dance. I think a lot of contemporary dancers are using multimedia, lighting and sound, and the idea of live performance in ways that the world has never seen before. The project that I'd be most proud of that I've led is probably the Migrant Project. I put that one forward because the things that I'm proud of in my life are the things that I've had the most difficulty with or were the biggest challenges. I think that's what creates a sense of pride. Over 4 years, I worked with 50 different people from Sydney, from different cultural, artistic backgrounds, people who all lived and worked in Sydney but came from very different walks of life. But the project taught me that articulate, compassionate people can quite violently disagree with each other. Diverse collaborations are tough ones to maintain and keep going. We did put on 4 shows, and I cut together a film. It's not just about what you believe and what you think is right. It's about how you're able to collaborate with other people and decide what it is that's worth fighting for or what you want to hold on to from what you believe, and how you can reach a compromise on that with other reasonable people who don't necessarily disagree with you. And if you can do that, a certain kind of magic flows from there. I think it's important that people in our industry share the things that didn't go well in their projects, in the work we've done in Newman, remote Western Australia, and with the remote Indigenous communities around there. We started that project in 2009. It took about a year to set up, and the youth centre, which we were basing all of our operations in, closed about 2 weeks before we started the project. We had to train them in kind of lobbying for a new youth centre and reopening that. I think the big lesson we learned from that was you need to invest capacity in schools and in councils. No matter how good your community partners are, schools and councils are the things we can rely on that will be around for the long term. Doesn't matter how bad the next recession is going to be, they will never stop investing in schools and councils. And CuriousWorks' model has really shifted as a result of that project. The rant all my colleagues have probably heard, a million times, is probably the one about how technology is neither a force for good nor evil, but just a tool. I feel that every recent change in our technology, the mainstream media reports on a positive aspect on it and says it's awesome, then reports on a negative aspect on it and says it's awesome. And I don't think that helps our understanding of what technology is and the role it plays in our lives. For me to continue doing what I do is wrapped up in what does CuriousWorks need to continue doing what it does. And wrapped up within that, because we've gone pretty well, and I laugh because it's kind of scary, are the lives of dozens of people, not just our core staff, but the crews that we build into enterprises, the communities we work with. Having financial sustainability and doing what we do so that our activities keep going. I think it's dangerous to ask people like me the 3 big questions that the industry needs to grow. Number 1, I think the sector needs to come to a better understanding of how rapidly the way we share and produce culture is changing. The amount of people who access, produce, share art that come from different cultures is far greater a proportion of people than those that are, funded by our funding bodies. The second thing that's facing our sector, I think, is we need to better address the relationship that artists have with the communities they work with. Firstly, for the artists, we need to unashamedly not exploit communities at all. We need to get off their backs completely. All we do is open the door for them, and they need to then use that opportunity for whatever purposes they desire. But I think alongside that, communities need to step up to that responsibility. I think there's a history of communities having such a distrust in public institutions that the artist becomes part of that distrust. And they see opportunities as things that they can exploit. And they wonder how much they can get out of this project or this framework or these tools, when it really should be about how can we, now that the door is opened, use this opportunity to transform what it is that put us at the disadvantage in the first place? The third question I think the community arts sector needs to address is its power. Really find out a way that we can make our industry as powerful as the advertising industry, as powerful as the commercial TV industry, attract the best people to it, and have the stories we tell have the same impact. Because I think it's our time to do that. So that's I think the third kind of question the sector has to face. To not constantly have an underdog approach to these things, but say that we have the potential now to be on an equal footing with other people who produce culture and tell stories. And let's go out there and do that.